So, all right, everybody, we're back again with Achala, and this is the series that we have started on nakshatra meditation and mantras and chakras. So, welcome, Achala. Namaste. Welcome back again on my YouTube channel, and it's a pleasure to have you always. We got some very good reviews from people. People are loving the series that we're doing. So today we do Punarvasu Nakshatra. Is that correct? Achalaji, we'll be doing
That's
Punarvasu
right.
Nakshatra. Yeah. So, yeah, please take us through this journey of Punarvasu Nakshatra.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Here we go. Okay. So Punarvasu Nakshatra is again one nakshatra that is, let's say, the most strongly connected with the throat chakra. Again, we can see that it is connected with the two beach mantras, which are Om and Aum. So they're both very similar, but still have slightly different quality. But we'll also see at the end that actually the mantra Om itself is actually the beach mantra for the third eye as well, the main beach mantra for the third eye. And this is actually one of the many reasons why Punarvasu Nakshatra itself is one of my favorite ones, I must admit, because it's very much connected really with this light, with consciousness, and with consciousness trying to manifest itself in a matter. Because we even read in Upanishads that this is what was in the beginning. It was just Om. And this Om manifested itself as loads and loads of other syllables of Sanskrit alphabet, lots of other mantras, and then they grew up more and more. But all of that came essentially from this one source sound, which is Om, just Om. And this is actually very beautiful if we look at that it's really like Om is this consciousness that is here, that is our soul consciousness in the third eye, and then it just descends into the throat chakra. It manifests itself through all the other vowels that we can see, and then it slowly goes down and gets altered, manifested slightly differently. But basically speaking, that's just Om, the beginning. And it's very interesting, I just found recently that in the past, Punarvasu was also called Purnavasi, actually. And Purnavasi also means the full moon, the fullness from which everything comes. And it makes me remember this beautiful verse from Isha Upanishad, so like Om, that is full and this is full. From fullness comes the fullness. Try to take fullness away from the fullness and still the fullness will remain. So everything is like Purnam. And that's actually the very beautiful thing with Punarvasu Nakshatra, because it's also ruled by Jupiter, and it's this cosmic teacher that is just sharing the knowledge and also showing that, again, when we share the knowledge, when we share the divine blessings, nothing is lost here. No matter how many times we replicate it, it just keeps growing, because essentially fullness is always full. It can't be really divided too much. So this is also how I perceive this Punarvasu Nakshatra. And again, it's about like coping, about things that are repeating in our lives, so much connected with the element of ether itself, actually. It's like a combination of ether and light that is all the time altering, and at the same time, all the time the same patterns are appearing here. Because essentially this is Aditi here, the goddess who is actually Mother Earth. She's like this cosmic creatrix through like cosmic womb, basically speaking, through which everything is created, through which the consciousness like literally enters the world. And this is one of the reasons why I really love so much Punarvasu Nakshatra, because it really reminds us about this unity, really, of everything, about this fullness of everything. Because it's, again, very interesting that Aditi is actually one of the very few goddesses that are ruling the nakshatras at all. We always see the devas there, but very rarely we see goddesses. And here we see the first goddess, Aditi, the one that is actually loving all her children equally. So again, is this beautiful concept of unity here, and this very strong feminine energy, actually. And I prepared also, we can first chant perhaps the mantra for Punarvasu Nakshatra before we go further, because about this nakshatra, I sometimes feel that I could just go on and on, because it's so special somehow how it relates to many things. So the beach mantra for Punarvasu Nakshatra is Om and Aum. So the full mantra would be Om, Om, Aum Punarvasu Nakshatraye Namaha. Om, Om, Aum Punarvasu Nakshatraye Namaha. Om, Om, Aum Punarvasu Nakshatraye Namaha. So we can have now a little look at certain words that are connected and starting from these particular syllables. There are not much verbs actually at all that start from O or Au. So I just took certain words that kind of resonated here. So one is Ota, to be invoked. And again, we know that Punarvasu Nakshatra is also somehow very much connected with mantras, because mantras are again repetition, repetitive things. And also it's Oma, like helper, protector. So more of this, I would say, motherly qualities, helping qualities. It's also Ojas, which is vigor, strength, luster, power, vitality as well. Because Om, essentially it's our prana. It's something that makes our body alive. We don't hear it with our ears usually, especially if we don't practice Kriya Yoga, but really Om is pervading everything. It's always present in the ether, and very often, especially after the Kriya meditation, when you just sit in silence, you can really hear this like primordial sound that is basically speaking, penetrating everything. It's always there. And it's also Oshada, which is medicines and herbs. And we also know that Om has actually very powerful healing qualities. And even just chanting the sound of Om, especially in the group of people, can have very, very healing effect actually. And I chose one more word, which is Odaya, so generosity. Because Punarvasu is, in my opinion, very much connected with this quality of being generous, really, with sharing. Because that's why we are not afraid to give something away, to how to say, replicate something, because we believe that it really comes from this essential fullness. And
it's interesting, Achalaji. I just wanted to point out, or rather share another thing that you are talking about, Punarvasu. Punarvasu. The word Vasu or Vasu, Vasudev or Vasu, they're all the elemental gods, the 8 elemental gods, the Astavasus. They always bring fortune, they bring prosperity, they bring health. That's why they say it's light again. And it's a beautiful thing that you're talking about and saying that Punarvasu is excellent for mantra sadhana because it's all about repetition. And the word Om as a prefix is called as Ekakshara Beeja because that is itself called as Lord Ganesh. Om itself, Omkar, is Lord Ganesh. So for every mantra you have Lord Ganesh's mantra, which is Om. So it's a beautiful thing that we're discussing today on Punarvasu. So really very nice. Thank you.
thank you, Dr. Paiji. I have some few more other things that I would like to share about this mantra, but about Punarvasu, about this nakshatra. But perhaps we could just have a short look at which actual chakra energies are present here. So we will see that again, the ruler, Mahadasha ruler, is Jupiter here, which is Swadhisthana chakra, which is again element of water. We have here also Vishuddha chakra, because there in Vishuddha chakra mostly dwell the mantras for Punarvasu. But on the other hand, again, we see that also the beach mantra dwells also in the third eye. So it's also like, let's say, double connection in a way. And very same with zodiac signs. So a little bit of Punarvasu is in Gemini, in Vishuddha, and a little bit is in Cancer, in Arjuna chakra. So basically speaking, we see, if we take into consideration also the padas, that like all the energies, especially the higher chakra energies, are the most active here. And the first chakra is like completely absent. So it's very much more about like bringing this inspiration from down that is going into material world, but like didn't reach it yet fully, let's say. This is how I feel Punarvasu, that is about realizing something in the world, but still somehow on the level of idea, inspiration, something that comes really, like concept.
And interestingly, Achalaji, except for, I think, Muladhara Chakra, all the other chakras you can find in this nakshatra, isn't it? You have
yes,
the Swadhisthana, you have the Manipura, you have Anahata, you have Vishuddha, and Ajna Chakra. So all the five chakras are present in this, except for the real grounding force, which is the Muladhara.
yes. This is very interesting actually about Punarvasu. And also in ancient times, how anciently was, let's say, considered Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Actually, Dakshinayana would start here, right here, where is Punarvasu actually. So when the sun enters the sign of Cancer, then Dakshinayana starts. And also that's why somehow I always perceive this Punarvasu, especially when we will discuss later on Uttarashada, which is on the other part of the zodiac. It's very amazing because Uttarashada is the only nakshatra at all that has just Muladhara chakra and Swadhisthana, nothing else. So it has just these two very, very strongly grounding factors. So they are kind of opposite, we can say. And it's very beautiful because as we see during Uttarayana, our consciousness like is rising from Muladhara to Ajna. And then when it reaches Ajna in Punarvasu, which is where it is in zodiac, then it slowly starts to go down. And it's also somehow symbolic because there's this story about Dakshinayana that when Dakshinamurti was giving wisdom away, that he actually turned south direction, right? And that this is where when he started to give his teachings. So again, it's somehow very much connected with the quality of Punarvasu itself. And this is why really I always mostly connect this nakshatra Punarvasu with descent of consciousness really into the world and descent of wisdom and knowledge into the world. And it's interesting also if we look at these nakshatras here between Gemini and Cancer and between Leo and Virgo. So here we have Punarvasu, which is said to be Aditi. So it's like Bhudevi, we can say it also, because she's like similar to Mother Earth. And on the other hand, here we have actually Uttara Falguni, which is said also to be birth nakshatra of Lakshmi. So it's very, very interesting because we see here we see like Bhudevi, here we see Lakshmi, and basically speaking, here is higher consciousness, is Vishnu, it's Narayan. So he like kind of has his two wives very close to himself. And one more very interesting thing about Punarvasu, which is beautiful, that its bird is a swan, actually. So again, it's this Hamsa, it's about this enlightenment, because swan is like this only animal who, it is said, it can discern between milk and water. So it gives this strong power of discernment. And also, it's always said whenever somebody is enlightened, the person is Paramahansa, like the highest swan, like the highest liberation. And what is particularly also interesting for me as a devotee of Krishna, that what is also the tree for Punarvasu Nakshatra is bamboo. And bamboo is a plant from which Krishna's flute was made, really. And there's this beautiful, beautiful story how once gopis stolen the flute of Krishna, and because they were jealous actually, that flute is always with Krishna and they can never be there with him so much. And they stolen the flute and they asked, why can you always be with Krishna? Why can you always be with the Supreme? We also love him so much, but we don't get this chance. And the flute said, you know, one day when I was still a bamboo, Krishna was coming to all of us plants. He was saying how much he loves us. And then one day he came to me and said, I need to ask you for something very difficult. I need to ask you for your own life. And I said, okay, Krishna, have it. And then Krishna cut me away and he took everything from inside of me. He cut holes in me and it hurted so much, but I surrendered completely. And this is why I can be with Krishna always, because I am empty inside in reality. And I think that this is so beautiful because this own sound, this is basically speaking like this higher, let's say, emptiness, right? It's something that is really purifying us so we can be like empty to receive really the divine vibrations. Because Krishna's flute, even if we look at it, it has 7 holes. And through 7th one, Krishna is blowing. It's like chakras and our Sushumna channel in us, really. It's even said in the Brahma Samhita, I believe, that when Krishna for the first time started to play his flute, it was just pure sound of Om, really. So this is why I really love so much Punarvasu Nakshatra, because it has so beautiful and deep symbolism, really about this spiritual awakening, and it's very, very beautiful nakshatra for me.
It's it's really fascinating. You're bringing this up, Achalaji, because even when you showed me the previous slide where you're showing me um, Punarvasu and Uttara Falguni, instantly it reminded me that of the famous god of Tirupati, Balaji Tirupati, and he's an incarnation of Vishnu, Balaji. And then on each side of Balaji, on one side you have Bhudevi, and the other side you have Sri Devi, which is Lakshmi. So it is fascinating that you're seeing that between Cancer and Leo at the junction, that's where Sri Devi and Bhudevi are posited. And maybe that junction could have a lot to give with wealth if it is falling. Bhudevi and Sri Devi are both important for enjoying the materialistic things of life. So Punarvasu Junction and Uttara Falguni Junction could be, a place where a lot of spiritual as well as material gifts are ready to be enjoyed. And I love this thing about the bamboo because I've seen the other nakshatra which is connected very strongly with the flute or the basuri. It's called the basuri of Lord Shri Krishna. Is Dhanishta, and it's as though you see that Shri Krishna is actually controlling the chakras. As you mentioned, the basuri of Krishna has 7 holes, so he is through blowing through that. He is actually trying to be controlling the chakras. So it's a beautiful thing. I really like this presentation of yours, Achalaji. So please go ahead.
Well, I think I finished really. Nothing else comes to my mind so far. I think because I started to talk about Krishna, my mind is empty now.
I know. It's so fascinating. Even when you talk about Aditi, Aditi is said to be the mother goddess who's infinite. She keeps spreading. She's the fabric of the space, and she's also called the mother of all the solar deities, the Surya Devatas, the Vedic solar deities. All of them are her children. The gods are her children, and it feels as though that she envelops us. She envelops the sky, and she just embodies limitless, expansion. She's infinite, and that's what I think this nakshatra is all about: is that infinite and unconditional love, unconditional. Um, uh, you just want to devote everything to Lord Shri Krishna with this beautiful nakshatra, and I can see that can bring in prosperity because of the vasus who are associated with this nakshatra. So beautiful thing, Achalaji. So thank you very much for coming and doing this video with us on Punarvasu. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.